Hi, I'm Cameron Staub, and I'm the voice of Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow!
Well, that is great. So tell us, who is Lightning McQueen?
Well, Lightning McQueen is a race car, and he comes from Radiator Springs. And
Well, he doesn't come from it. He came there.
He came to Radiator Springs, but now he lives there. He has 95 on his car. He's won a bunch of World Piston Cups, and World Grand Prix, seen in Cars 2. He dates Sally. His best friend is Mater. He also is friends with Cruz Ramirez from Cars 3. And he's also friends with Miss Fritter from Cars 3 for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, they only met, like, once.
But his mentor was Doc Hudson. He died after the first Cars movie. Well, his actor did, and Doc Hudson too. So we miss him dearly.
Yeah, and in this upcoming Cars film, I have my own explanation of how Doc died. I will not release it because no spoilers.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, carrying on. What is your favorite thing about playing this character?
Well, my favorite thing about playing this character is he kind of is like, chill, he's cool, and, he's a cool race car, and I think that, in my opinion, he's just one of my favorite Cars characters. And Owen Wilson, the guy who plays him, is a great guy, by the way.
Yeah, do you know that one time he tried to actually commit suicide?
Dang.
Yeah, it was like in 2007, I think. So, and we are so...
First Cars movie came out. Jeez.
Yeah, and that was the first Cars film was in 2006. So if Owen didn't off himself, we would have never have had the sequels.
Yep.
Or any other shorts or games.
Well, and I'm not mad at Pixar for making new films, but I'm so mad at them for not making sequels because there's so many great films that have not gotten sequels. Like there's Ratatouille, there's Up, there's
Inside Out,
WALL-E, and Inside Out. There's all these different films that have just got one film and that's it. And all the others, like Toy Story,
Cars.
Incredible, all had sequels, right? So
yeah, I get you. Now, what would you say if you were a car? What kind of car would you be if you lived in that world?
I would say I would probably be a Chevy Avalanche, it's just my favorite truck, obviously. And I would probably be a green one. And I think...
Yeah, because Cameron's favorite color, for all you to know, if you ever want to give him a gift, his favorite color is green.
And another thing that'd be great is if I was like Lightning McQueen as fast as him and I did like races,
Yeah, like off-road races.
Yeah, truck races or whatever.
Yeah, like demolition derbies almost.
Yeah.
But okay, so next, if you lived in the world of Cars, would you want to live or visit to hang out in Radiator Springs?
I would probably want to live in Radiator Springs because if I visited there, I probably wouldn't see Lightning McQueen ever again. And I think we'd become great friends. And I could live in the Cozy Cone and hang out with Mater at his little dump place and go to the memorial for Doc Hudson and hang out with Sally sometimes.
Hang out with just all the residents because all of them are pretty good people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can get good surplus from Sarge. You can know that you're safe with Sheriff on this. If you need some sweet organic fuel, just go to Fillmore. It's just it's just a nice, cozy town.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Radiator Springs is a nice town. So if I were that green Chevy Avalanche truck that I mentioned in the Cars universe, I'd probably stay in Radiator Springs for good.
Next, what would you say is your favorite thing about the Cars franchise as a whole?
I would say that my favorite thing is when you see Lightning McQueen beat Jackson Storm, but it's not really him. Like, I like the fact that they put a twist in the movie where Lightning McQueen, you think he's the one who beats Jackson Storm.
But when really it's Cruz and him.
but it's really Cruz Ramirez because she's the one who helps him. And apparently, I thought it was really crazy that Lightning McQueen ended up on the scoreboard because I didn't know that there was a rule in the races where if you started it, you finished it, and so basically you won.
I'm not sure if that. I doubt that's how it actually is in NASCAR. But if it is,
but I guess it's just how they put it in the Cars franchise to make it like unique and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like the Cars world is entirely different from our race world.
Yeah, and I think it's a great idea, though, because you get this little thing where, like, you can compensate for, like, Lightning McQueen, like, just helping out Cruz, right? Because Lightning McQueen realizes that he needs to give her a chance so she can be a racer.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, you got to give people second chances, right?
Yeah, and I think Lightning McQueen did a really good job in showing that he could do that.
And McQueen's sponsor, before he became Cruz's racer, was Rusty's, which, from what we hear, is somewhat of a rusty bumper ointment.
Yeah, his original sponsors were Rusty and Dusty, and then they ended up being bought by Sterling, which is this, corporate guy.
Hold up. The company was bought by them. Rusty and Dusty weren't bought by Sterling.
Well, okay, so Rusty and Dusty owned it.
Yeah,
and Sterling
they founded it.
Which he was a corporate guy, and then Dynaco's Tex guy,
Tex
right?
came in,
and
bought Rusty's.
Yeah, Tex bought the company from Sterling, and so basically, not only does Dynaco own itself, but also owns Rusty's.
And wasn't it very sweet? Spoilers ahead for anyone who has not seen any of the Cars film, especially Cars 3. It's very sweet how at the very end of Cars 3, McQueen donned Doc Hudson cosplay.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question on some of the characters that are in Cars. What are your feelings on Mater?
Well, Mater can be crazy sometimes. I mean, he does sound like a very famous guy.
He is Larry the Cable Guy. After all, I talked to him on Facebook.
Yeah, Larry the Cable
funny.
Guy. I mean, hey guys, if you guys know Larry the Cable Guy, you're just talking to Mater. I mean, he is a great guy, and he just sounds so funny. Like, he's not funny, but in some
Larry
ways...
Larry definitely is a funny guy.
Huh?
Larry the Cable Guy definitely is a great comedian.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty funny.
He's honestly the most funniest redneck I know.
Yeah, Mater's a pretty good redneck for a Cars movie.
And next, what do you think of Sally?
I think Sally is a wonderful car, and I think that she'd be great for McQueen. But I guess some people might think Cruz is, but I wouldn't go there because, we're already dating Sally. So
yeah, they're already... I can only assume that they're married, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, they could be married, but it's never been confirmed, so we'll just leave it at that they're possibly dating.
Yeah, they are dating, but they might be married, but they probably just never said anything.
Yeah, they just never said anything, so...
And what are your thoughts on the late and great Doc Hudson?
Doc Hudson is like the greatest mentor that has ever existed in the Cars franchise because of the fact that he went from being like a grumpy old race car to, as Lightning McQueen referred to him as in the Cars movie, the first Cars, to being like this great mentor that Lightning McQueen remembers every single day of his life.
And what are your feelings on Sarge?
Sarge is, I think, a strict car, but he's more of a military leader, and he really shows what it means to be a military leader.
And serving his country.
Yeah?
Never mind about going outside.
Okay. Alexa, hang up. Alright, continue.
Don't worry, partner. I'll edit that out.
Okay.
Now, tell us about what you think of Ramon, the lowrider who is always in the paint jobs.
Ramon is pretty chill. I mean, he's more chill than McQueen is, and I think that he's like really chill to the point where he just had a calm day. Like his whole day had no problems. He was just very calm.
He and Flo can go out and probably take a cruise.
Yeah, he could probably take a cruise just any minute.
But now, speaking of laid back, what are your thoughts on Fillmore?
Fillmore is just very hippie. He's it looks like he traveled forward in time from the 70s.
You know, Fillmore actually believes in something called the intergalactic interstate.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Fillmore definitely is a very... He honestly is someone I'd hang out with.
Yeah, I'd hang out with Fillmore too.
Yeah, and what are your feelings on... dang, I forgot the name. Oh yeah, what do you think of Flo, Ramon's wife? Very sassy car.
Yeah, I mean, I like her, but it's just that at first when I saw the movie, I didn't really know they were married, so I was just like, oh, it's just another car, and they're really into each other, so I thought they were dating or something, but I still like Flo. It's just that she's just not, you know...
You just don't know that much about her.
Yeah, I just don't know much about her.
And what are your feelings on Luigi and Guido? Isn't it amazing how Guido can do a pit stop in under 4 seconds flat?
Yeah, I think that they're great characters. They kind of remind me, they're like the Mario and Luigi of the Cars franchise. They're very Italian, you know.
Honestly, yeah, Porto Corsa.
They always have a love for Italy and its wonders.
And the Ferrari.
And I could see them, you know, just having lunch together, eating pizza, even though they're cars and they don't eat pizza.
Yeah, although, get this, it turns out that the Italians... The pizza we know didn't actually originate from Italy. It came from New York.
Yeah, it did because an Italian. I think the story goes an Italian immigrant came to New York and then he built this little restaurant and then made it so famous that it's from New York.
I think so. Anyone in the comment section who actually know the truth, please tell us because we're always ready for knowledge.
Yeah.
And what are your views on Chick Hicks, the original villain from the Cars franchise?
I really despised him. I mean, I despise him as much as Jackson Storm, but the thing with Chick Hicks, though, is he isn't as evil as Jackson Storm is because Jackson Storm was always the guy who wanted to win. He was trying to make like McQueen suck and make him so that he would be like the new car, get his car out there. But I don't think. But with Chick Hicks, though, he was just, you know, he was trying to steal like Lightning McQueen's lines, and always trying to.
Yeah, he changed like the Ka-chow to Kachika.
Yeah, Kachika, you know, do all that stuff. I just not really fond of Chick Hicks, but he reminds me of Jackson Storm, but it's just he's not really that evil.
Yeah, I mean, like I disagree, but you know what they say: agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, Jackson Storm is basically just a carbon copy of Chick.
Yeah, Jackson Storm is just... It's just the problem with him is that with Jackson Storm, he's like the bad guy because you know that he's trying to stop McQueen from keeping his car around and have Jackson Storm's car around, but really in reality... Jackson Storm realizes that his car can't be around because that technology hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah, and what are your views on Smokey, Doc's old crew chief?
I like Smokey because he actually was the guy who helped save Lightning McQueen's career, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like, and what are your views on Miss Fritter?
Miss Fritter is a great friend to Lightning McQueen because you first think that she's like the bad guy.
You would think that she's like, oh, I'm getting ready to kill your ass. But when really...
She's that chill friend who's a fan of Lightning McQueen, you know, she's just like always watching his games, and I think Miss Fritter is just a great character.
Yeah, and because you mentioned a few of these characters before, what are your views on Sterling?
Sterling, I think, is like... So, basically...
He's Donald Trump.
Yeah, so basically... So for me, Sterling reminds me of like an evil, corporate guy who's trying to take over like a multi-millionaire business, right?
Uh-huh.
Because it reminds me... Because I was thinking of like the Muppets for a bit, and it reminded me of like when there's this guy named like Lord Lou Gray, and he helped like Henson create all these Muppet productions, like The Muppet Show and the first two Muppet movies, and Dark Crystal, but then when Dark Crystal was coming out,
Trial by Stone.
Evil corporate guy, and he was trying to take over the Lord's company, and it really almost died off Dark Crystal, and then Jim Henson saves the day, and he basically buys Dark Crystal back, and so he saves his own film. And so I thought that I think Sterling is not my favorite character because he acts like this evil corporate guy. He's trying to ruin Lightning McQueen's, races and what he wants to do, and he doesn't allow Lightning McQueen to do what he wants to do, and he wants to just sell off Lightning McQueen and make him money when Lightning McQueen's not wanting to do that.
And what are your views on Mac? McQueen's...
I think Mac is a really funny pickup truck.
Well, he's not a pickup truck. He's a tractor trailer.
Tractor trailer.
Yeah, that's what he meant.
Yeah. But I think he's funny though because he's got because I like the inside of his car because it looks like a whole DJ is just going on in the back while he's just driving.
Yeah, I mean, while the trailer of Mac is not part of his body, it can become part of his body once he hitches it on.
Yeah.
And now only 2 more characters before we go, though technically 3 with this upcoming one. What are your views on Rusty and Dusty Rusties, who are played by the late Card Talk brothers?
Rusty and Dusty, I think they were great owners, which is why we go back to Sterling, right? Sterling's basically the evil corporate guy, and then Rusty and Dusty is like the Lord Lou Gray, right?
He's like Tex Richmond.
You got Tex, right?
Yeah.
Which, not Tex Richmond from the Muppets.
Yeah, but Sterling reminds me of Tex Richmond.
Right. And you got Tex, and he comes in, and he saves the day, so he's like the Jim Henson. He saves the day, and he saves Rusty's from dying out. And so I think that basically Rusty's and Dusty's were the guys who actually helped Lightning McQueen with his career until you've got Sterling come in, he takes over and he tries to ruin the business, and then you've got Tex who comes in and does what Rusty's and Dusty does and saves the day.
Yeah, and finally, what are your views on Finn McMissile?
Finn McMissile. Now, I recently saw Cars 2, and I think that he is a pretty interesting spy. I mean, with him teaming up with Holly Schiffwell and, with Mater, and I think that really what it comes down to is that Finn McMissile was the guy who really helped Mater prove who he was and helped Mater figure out who he was.
Yeah.
For the movie.
And out of the Cars trilogy, which of the movies is your favorite?
Probably Cars 3. Now, I know it has... Now, I like it because you've got, they honor, Doc Hudson, and then there's Rusty, you got Rusty and Dusty, and I like how it's got that whole, corporate thing in there, and just to me, it just is amazing to see how there's this twist with, who owns, Lightning McQueen's, racing company, and who, takes it over, and what happens, and it's just fun to see, what happens, and so, I just think that the Cars 3 is a good movie, and And when after I watched Cars 3, I thought, well, if they made Cars 4, they could have where the Cars 2 characters come back. You have Holly Schiffwell, Finn McMissile, and
Francesco.
They all come back and they do another race together, but they do it in Radiator Springs.
Yeah, kind of at the end when they were doing the Radiator Springs Grand Prix.
Yeah.
What Cars 4 could happen in between Cars 2 and Cars 3. We can even maybe find out how Doc died.
Yeah, find out how he died, which I think that if Pixar were to do a Cars 4, I feel like
they should teach us the they should come up with a way of explaining to Cars fans like us how HUD died.
Yeah, which is kind of basically explaining how his actor died.
I read on Wikipedia, on the Cars Wikipedia, that Doc died from engine failure, and which is basically the equivalent of a heart cancer
or kidney failure.
Yeah, a kidney failure, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so 4 more questions before we end this interview, my boy.
All right.
So if you were to say if you were at the stadium, what would your actual reaction be once you saw Lightning McQueen wreck?
I would be really shocked. Then I would probably go get the ambulance, right? Go get 911, which if there is a 911 in the Cars franchise.
Yes, there is, because there's ambulances, there's fire trucks, there's the police. The police, the pigeon.
Yeah, and then I would inform them that Lightning McQueen has crashed.
Well, they would. Well, here's the thing: you wouldn't really need to do that, seeing how the race officials, the ambulance are usually right there stat once they see something bad happening, and all the tow trucks and all that.
Yeah, but if like no one was there was nobody there, then yes, I would probably go.
I see where you're coming from now.
Yeah, so I would probably make sure that Lightning McQueen is safe so he can get ready for his next race.
And what are your views on McQueen's basic paint job? Do you like the color of candy apple red?
Yeah, I think it fits him really well. I think that it does fit him, and I do also like the color that was used for his design when Tex bought Rusty's, when they changed the blue and they honored Doc Hudson, because I think it gives a sense of the fact that basically Lightning McQueen's favorite person in the world, other than Mater
and Sally,
basically other than Mater, Sally, Cruz, and Miss Fritter, is Doc Hudson, his mentor.
Yeah, well, Miss Fritter isn't really one of his favorites, but I see where you're coming from.
Right, because he's got a lot of friends, and I feel like that Doc Hudson is his big one because he was basically the mentor of the greatest Pixar character ever.
Oh, wow, someone's got strong opinions.
Yeah.
You opinionated asshole! Okay, so the second to last question before we go, Cam.
Okay.
If one day, if you got the chance, if you were a car and you had a rusty bumper just like Fred or Mater, would you want to use Rusty's?
Probably, because according to the ad, the commercial, Lightning McQueen basically would, he showed off how the actual
medicine
material
worked.
Would you put on the back, right? And then it'll clean it off. So I would use it if, like, it ever got dirty and I needed to clean it.
Well, here, listen to this. And this is probably something that'll take a turn for the darkest with the Cars franchise. So, when I was because I'm a big Cars fan, I binge watch the Cars movies and on end. During McQueen was doing the Rusty's commercial, I noticed whenever they did the demonstration on that green Cars bumper, is that there was a white caption underneath that read, may take up to 36 weeks to take effect. And you know what also takes that long to take effect?
What?
Leprosy medicine!
Okay, what is that again?
Leprosy is basically, it's like rust. It is your skin rotting away.
Well, okay, so I think let's just agree here that McQueen likes promoting death.
Oh my god. What if secretly McQueen is a leper and his real name should be Leper McQueen?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh wow. I'm just playing. I'm in so much trouble. We're doing this interview here, I'm playing the first Cars video game, and I'm racing through Ornament Valley, and I just bumped into Sheriff. I am in so much trouble.
Okay.
Well, anyway, before we go, this is probably the last thing that I'll ask you. For everyone, this is kind of a mandatory thing that people must sneak in for these cast interviews. Kamran?
Yeah?
Do the voice of Lightning McQueen for the audience.
Oh, wow. Ka-chow.
Well, I guess I'm the star of the second Cars movie. Not wow. Not wow at all. Okay, so before we head this out and this interview goes on to YouTube in the next few hours, what do you have any other things that you or McQueen would like to say to the audience before you give your sign off?
Well, I would just like to say, I respect all opinions on McQueen. If you guys hate McQueen, that's fine. If you hate the Cars franchise, it's fine. If you hate the second Cars movie, which I know a lot of you guys do.
I do, but Amber, the voice of Fillmore, loves Cars 2.
And I respect it, but just understand that they wanted to, do a little twist where Mater is mostly the focus. But,
Yeah.
But Lightning McQueen is still in our heart, so, yep.
Yeah, well, and would you consider it an honor to play Lightning McQueen?
Yeah, I think it is, because, since I did my first try of doing an impression of Lightning McQueen, it sounded like him, so it sounded kind of like
might as well. I mean,
yeah, we'll just give it a go.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure by how much you enjoyed doing the role for me, every time I need extra lightning material, I know who to turn to.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, give us your sign off, buddy.
This is Lightning McQueen signing off. Ka-chow!